गौरवशाली राष्ट्र के निर्माण व विश्व कल्याण के लिए प्रतिबद्ध माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को धन्यवाद और उत्तराखंड के युवा दूरदर्शी मुख्यमंत्री श्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी को शुभकामनाएं।
आइए और 6th वर्ल्ड कांग्रेस ऑन डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में सम्मिलित हों और आपदा प्रबंधन में भागीदार बने।
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the plenary session on theme Resilience and Sustainable Development in the Himalaya. It is my privilege to call all the dignitaries on dais. So first of all, I would like to request our chairperson of this session, Dr. Pema Jemso, Director General, ICMOD, Nepal, to please join us on dais. Sir, please. Audience, put your hands together to welcome our chairperson of this session. Now, we have Dr. Kalachan Sen, Director, Wadi Institute of Himalayan Geology, as co-chair of this session. Please, audience, help me to welcome him on the dais. Sir, please. The another co-chair of this session is Dr. Navneet Kumar from Global Mountain Safeguard Research, Germany. I cannot able to hear your, clapping voice. Yes, thank you. May I call our keynote speaker, Professor Marcus Martin from Heidelberg University, Germany. The panelists of this session are Professor Onkar Singh, Vice Chancellor, Uttarakhand Technical University. Sir, please join us. Okay, he's not there. Okay. The second panelist is Dr. S Rawat from UCOST. Sir, please join us. I would also like to request Mr. Deepak Malik, DRM Specialist, World Bank, to join us on the dais. So please, put your hands together, crowd. Now, I would like to call Dr. Gowhar Meraj, researcher from University of Tokyo, Japan. Sir, please, join us. Okay, right. Now, I would like to call Dr. Paramesh Banerjee, Director, Prayukti Geomatics, Singapore, to please join us on dais. Once again, I request you all to put your hands together for our panel. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start this panel. I hope people outside are here. So, we have an eminent chair today. He is the Director General of ICMOD, Nepal. It's a global organization doing pioneering work in this area. Over to you, Dr. Pema Gamsho. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Ray. And I'm very pleased that I could chair this session together with two very distinguished co-chairs in Dr. Sain and Dr. Navid Kumar. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting ICMOD, the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, to participate in this very, very important event, the 6th World Congress on Disaster Management. Now, this session, I feel, is very, very important, as Dr. Ray already mentioned. Sustainable development and resilience is at the core of whatever we do. Now, we know the definitions of both. Sustainable development is conducting development, socioeconomic development, that meets the requirement of the present generations without compromising the needs of future generations. That's very simple. In bringing resilience to the discourse, I think we are now taking this forward in the sense that sustainable development has some assumptions that things would be stable, that there would be continuum to whatever we do. But then we know, like we have learned from the pandemic, from the COVID-19 pandemic, there would be shocks along the way which disrupts the whole system. So now you look at the Sustainable Development Goals. I really don't know where we are with all of these goals. I think there is a severe setback. So when you bring in resilience, it is bringing in the dimension of building in the ability of individuals, households, families, communities, countries, nations to cope with shocks, to cope with the climate crisis, to cope with the pollution that we are facing, to cope with the biodiversity loss, all the crises that we are facing, to understand them, to withstand them, and to recover and adapt, to be able to better withstand. So I think these two elements are mutually reinforcing. Now we are going to be focusing on the Himalaya. I still remember the first mountain guru, actually a colleague from India, Professor Narpat Singh Jodha, who used to work at ISIMO when I was a very, very junior official in the working for the government of Bhutan. Now, Professor Jodha used to always say, mountains have 4 distinct specificities. And these specificities are marginality, socioeconomic marginality. So today we need to see whether mountains are still marginalized in terms of decision making, in terms of socioeconomic development. He used to say mountains are inaccessible. Have we increased accessibility? Have we improved this, the mountain people's access to services, goods, and all the facilities? Then, vulnerability. Mountains are vulnerable economically, socially, as well as physically because of the conditions there. Finally, in terms of fragility, mountains are very fragile geologically. So I think if you look at these 4 specificities and see where we are, I think we'll have a good idea of where we are. The narratives now have to change. We have enhanced accessibility. Now we have roads everywhere. We have internet access. But have we exposed the mountains to more vulnerability, socially, economically, or physically? We have enhanced socioeconomic development, but did that really help? So I think these are the dimensions that we need to consider. Okay, so I would like to. So, yes, please. We'll call him. So may I invite the Honorable Member of Legislative Assembly, the Honorable Dr. Muna Singh Chauhan, to the podium, please. To the stage. Yeah. Is he here? Invited? Okay. So let me conclude my statement here then. Okay, so let me conclude here, and I think we are in for a very interesting session. We have a very distinguished lineup of speakers, so I will wait for the Honorable Chief Guest to come in. So let me ask the co-chair to say a few words now. I'm a little bit confused as to the, please.
Okay. A very good morning. Once again, I welcome our chair of the session, co-chairs, panelists, distinguished delegates. And this is a very, very important session, as has been explained by our chair, that disaster resilience and sustainable growth or development. So I'll just touch upon that. Not only the Himalaya, if we look into our country itself, the plain, also we are experiencing hazards related to droughts and floods. Coastal regions, also we are experiencing some sort of cyclones, coastal erosions, time to time tsunamis, and the Himalaya. And this year we have experienced, in the beginning, Joshimot episode related to landsliding. Then July, August, we experienced excessive rainfall in Himachal Pradesh and parts of Uttarakhand, leading to landslides and flash floods. Then in October, November, we had in eastern part of Uttarakhand state earthquakes in the western part of Nepal. Then we got South Lonak partial glacial lake outburst flood in Assam. And recently, we have experienced that Silkiara tunnel episode. Before last year, whenever you go back, we see the Himalayan states are being affected by disaster, and Uttarakhand state in particular has been affected. And all of us know that several factors we are attributing to the disaster, not only one factor. We always talk about the climate change, its impact, global warming, and its impact. They are playing role, but besides that, there are several other phenomena we have to look into in integrated manner to understand the earthquake, to understand the landslide, to understand the glacial hazards, glacial lake outburst, flash floods, etc. So we have been experiencing the impact of the climate change at one hand. We are seeing the impact of the anthropogenic activity. We are seeing that environmental degradation that has happened, the surface rock has developed cracks, fissures, and they are also experiencing some sort of hazards related to the several phenomena. When you talk about environmental degradation, when you talk about climate impact, when you talk about the natural processes like earthquakes, we are talking about several phenomena, and we need to comprehend all this study to understand how we'll be able to build a disaster resilient, a climate adaptable future. I think this particular session will provide a lot of implications to understand all these phenomena, and in the Himalaya particularly, we have high altitude glaciers, we have snowfields, we have mighty rivers, sediments. They are lifeline to tens of millions of people living into the Himalaya for the drinking water, for irrigation, for hydroelectric power generation, for domestic usages, for industrial usages. So developmental is very much required for the state like Uttarakhand, for other Himalayan states. At one hand, we are seeing the lot of resources are there into the Himalaya, and other hand, we are seeing that Himalaya, some parts, not the entire Himalaya is fragile. There is a misconception that entire Himalaya is fragile. Entire Himalaya is not fragile. Some parts are very, very fragile, susceptible, vulnerable to different kinds of disasters with variable magnitudes and intensity. So we need to comprehend geoscientific study to understand the most vulnerable zone. And once we identify the most vulnerable zone, we have to closely monitor that region so that we can provide some mitigation, to provide some sort of resilience into that country, into that part. And the third important thing, that education is very, very important. Sensitization to the local people, what they should do, what they should not do. We have to live with the disasters. We can't live. Wherever you go, you will find some sort of disasters. So we need to learn how to live with the disasters, and for that, again, these sessions will provide a lot of implications to understand all those processes, how we'll be able to imbibe, how we'll be able to implement, so that we'll be able to develop a disaster-resilient Himalayan states when talking about Himalaya. Early warning system, very, very important for every, whether we talk about earthquake, talk about landslides, talk about glacial avalanche, talk about any disaster-related phenomena, we get some sort of precursory events. We understand that something is going to envisage into this region. So if we closely station some sort of web-based sensors, we'll be able to do that. So with this, now we are extremely happy that we have with us our honorable chief guest,